What's going on there, knife people? Back with the fake eBay Sebenza. Been using it quite a bit here lately. It does have significant shortcomings, mostly with the hardware. So the blade and the handles, which are 99.9% of the knife, and the clip are all fine. But the pivot, I don't know, it's just the hardware is a little bit cheap. And since it's a thicker knife, I don't think I can get real Chris Reeve hardware and have it actually work, which is a bummer. I don't know if I'll be able to find a grade 8, like Chicago screw or whatever that is. It's that size. And get it on there. I need to start searching online or somewhere. So I've been using the blade. Ooh, that looks pretty bad. Just about everywhere in the woods, around the house. There is no edge damage at all. I was even chopping like crazy on some invasive Japanese honeysuckle that we've got on the property. And it didn't negatively affect the edge at all. And I was checking trees, got a beaver and bugs and stuff killing trees, so I was checking trees with the Tano tip, digging it in there and prying it to the side, and it's still as pokey as it ever was. The steel is really good. It's just D2, I guess, but it's done really well. It's got a nice hollow grind. And the profile, I mean, that's not perfectly straight there, just like the real one, so it's a good copy. The thumb studs have been fine. I think the finish might be more durable than the real ones, actually, because I open and close it a lot, and it's not like it's wearing off. It's just the color's a little bit off. The handles are great. The finish is, not the best, but whatever, it feels kind of like a glass blast. I haven't felt the new glass blast from Chris Reeve, but it's definitely not as coarse as the sandblast you get. So the pivot leaves a little bit to be desired, but the blade is amazing. And a lot of this video is about the next talking point that I've got. And so I was doing some batoning with this knife just because I've heard Tim in a podcast mention, Tim Reeve, how strong the ball interface is. And this knife, even though it's like a 21 or whatever, it's got a ceramic ball interface because the knockoff guys decided to put that on there. And you can see there's a dent where the ball was when I was batoning. The knife actually has pretty good action yet, despite that. And it doesn't seem to really wiggle around when it's up-down blade play or anything like that, or even, it's got some side-to-side blade play, but that's because that pivot's kind of wonky, and I think the bushing might be too big or something, I don't know. It's not as hand-fitted as a real Sebenza, but it's also $400 less. But that ceramic ball is undamaged, and I was beating it pretty hard through some pretty hard wood. But I think even my real Incosi, or if you had a real 31 or whatever, it would do the same thing to the blade. I still think that you would have a lock face screwed up. It is a pretty small interface where the ball interacts with the face of the knife blade. And that's a huge disadvantage, in my opinion, really. It doesn't have the surface area to spread out the force. So for impact work, there isn't really a perfect idea. You know, Hinderer, they have the steel lock bar insert, and it has more surface area. It's got to be more gall resistant than TI on steel. So that might be the strongest interface, with this one being maybe third, because the titanium on steel might have more surface area, but it'd still get marked, because there's a guy on YouTube that's batoned his real Chris Reeve, and he definitely flattened out the lock bar a little bit in the corner right there. So it's kind of a bummer. This knife still cuts just fine though. I really like the blade geometry on it. It speaks highly to how they do it. I don't know how these guys do it, if it's exactly like a real Chris Reeve Tanto is, but it's pretty good. Not to say that fakes are great. I mean, I wish they would put their own logo on here. You know, and it's just a homage. It's just an honorable mention to the design. It is unique because it's a 21 with the interface bar ball. So it is what it is. It's definitely thicker than the real deal. But I just needed to put that in there because if you've got a real Chris Reeve and you heard Tim say, yo, he beat it with a hammer and until the blade broke, yeah, I can see that happening because the ball is pretty damn tough, but the blade, I mean, this has got to be 60 Rockwell D2, and that happened. So you've got an S45 VN, look for, I mean, it would, even if it wasn't that deep, something would happen there, and that's just not good. And mine has pretty early lockup, so if you had that on the corner, it might even chip the whole damn thing off and break the knife. So don't play it in the woods.